Hello, we are working on our apple picker and we're just about done. We're ready to add our scoring. We've got our first scene pretty well completed. So if you go to your assets in your projects view, you can click on your scene and press Ctrl D to duplicate it. And then you can double click on your new scene, scene 1. Yes, I would like to see my changes. And now we are looking at scene 1, and we could go to our apple tree and change some of our settings. Try some different play. See how we like things. Let's run this. So we can experiment a little bit. My tree's just going crazy. And we can do that with a separate scene. And then if we've tried some different things, you know, it's just a fun thing for us to do, to try some different levels and ideas. Now I'm going to go back to scene 0 and add our scoring. Yes, I'll change those. Save those changes. And I want to add a score counter first. So I'm going to make sure that I'm in scene 0. I've got that open. Then I'm going to go to the menu bar and choose Game Object. And I think I'm going to create some 3D text. And we're going to see, because inarbitrarily use a GUI text that is a little outdated, and so we might be changing things up a little bit. Now our text is going to be named something a little different than new text. Can we name it up here? And I would like to name it score counter. And then for our text, we're going to make it say something like $1,000. And we would like it to anchor at the upper right. And our alignment, we're going to change to right. Change our font to bold. Hard to see, huh? Maybe it too looks good. Okay, we're going to set up our font there a little bit, and we could do some things with it. I'm going to play this and see what it's showing. Let's put it up here. Make a difference. So I think that I'll change my position up here, and 0, 1, 0. Just leave it like Now we want to add some points for each time we catch an apple. So my score may not be in the perfect place, so I'm going to go ahead and add in some code to create that scoring mechanism. Remember, we already have an on-collision error method in our basket script, so let's just go ahead and modify this to give the player points for each apple that they catch, and we're going to give them 100 points an apple. How does that seem? Seem good? So in our basket script, let's add in a variable. We'll just call it GUI text. Then in our start, we're going to go ahead and add some code. We want to find a reference to our score counter game object. And we want to find the score counter. Then get the GUI text component of that game object. So we're going to get a component and we want to get the GUI text. There we go. Now we want to set the starting number of points to 0. So we're going to use our score GT object text property. And we're going to set that equal to 0. Now that should initialize that score to start out at 0 when we first start. And then we're going to update our on-collision enter method. Now, right now we're destroying that apple when we collide with an apple. Let's go ahead and update our score. So we're going to grab what our current score is. So from our GUI text objects text property, we're going to pull that current score, and we're going to add some points. £100 there. And then we're going to put that back out into our GUI text object. We have to use a toString to set up that text object. So that should be what we need there. We're going to try that. Let's save it before we continue on. There is no GUI text attached to the score counter game object, but a script is trying to access it. So let's change that code. And it looks to me like if we look at our object here, we have a text mesh property, and that's what we're setting up with that. So let's see. So I'm going to try using this text mesh object instead. Oops. I just wanted to save here in Visual Studio. Go to Unity and try and see if that's any better. Oh, I'm starting out with 0, so that's a good sign. Look, there we go. Okay, so it was easy enough for us to convert from the older release and update that to take advantage of the new properties of the 3D text object instead of GUI text object. So I'm going to save everything there. The last thing that we want to do is notify our apple picker that an apple was destroyed. So we want to delete a basket if an apple is dropped. I mean, we'll see how this works out. So at this point, apples manage their own destruction, which is fine, but we want to make sure the apple knows to somehow notify the apple picker script of this event so that the apple picker can end the round and destroy the rest of the apples. So we're going to have one script call a function on another. So let's go to our apple script first. Sure. Okay, in my apple script then, right now, in my update method, if we get below the bottom position, we're destroying the apple game object. Let's go ahead and add some additional code within that if statement. And we're going to get a reference to the apple picker component of our main camera. So we want to create an apple picker here, and it's going to be the script, and we're going to use our camera dot main dot get component, and I'm going to use the generic, and what I want to get there is an apple picker. And then I'm going to call that public method of that apple picker script. Use that script and call your apple destroyed. Method. Now let's go to our apple picker script and create that method. We'll save this. And here's our apple picker. And in our apple picker, we already have our instantiation for our basket. And we shouldn't really need to add too much up there to the top. What we're going to do is come down and create our own new method. Apple destroyed. And when an apple is destroyed, we're going to create an array of game objects. And we're going to set this up using our game objects. We're going to find our game objects with tag. So how awesome is this? We can do this with Unity. And we want to find all of the apples named apple. And then for each of those, we're going to take that game object and we're going to refer to it as T game object, this game object. For each of those, we'll destroy that game object. Now, that's a nice way for us to do it. We're able to have Unity give us all of those objects with that tag, and then for each of those objects we can destroy them so that we are cleaning up our resources and in our game properly. Now, we want to add a final bit of code, and this is going to manage the deletion of one of the baskets each time an apple is dropped and stop the game when all the baskets have been destroyed. So this will make things a little less awful than what we were looking at. Now we're working in our apple picker script, and we've saved all of these changes, but we're going to go up to our top. And we're going to add a new variable here. It's going to be a public list. And it's going to be a list of game objects. and we're going to call it basket list. Now, how are we going to use that? Well, in our start, before our for loop, we're going to add a line of code. And we're going to make a new basket list. Oops, sorry, it's just a new list. And the generic we're going to use is game object. I need parentheses there. Okay, so we're creating that list of game objects, and then within our for loop, we're going to add a line of code here to say to add to our basket list. And what we want to add is this basket game object that we've created as we've gone through our loop. Okay, so now we've got that all taken care of. We're going to go to our apple destroyed method. And in our apple destroyed method, after we destroy all of these game objects, we're going to destroy one of the baskets. So we're going to get the index of the last basket. In our basket list. So we're going to use the count method to get that last basket. Get a reference to that basket's game object. Basket list, and then we're taking our index, basket index. Yep, this should be, sorry, typo there, -1. And then as we are going through here, we're creating a reference to this basket list, the one that we're currently working on, and then we're going to take that basket list and remove it from our array. It wants parentheses, not, let's go back inside, back in here. Okay, and then lastly, we want to destroy this basket. I'm ready to destroy it. Okay, that's not good. Unless we want to add a high score. I'm going to save this. Let's run our game and see how we are doing. My destroy doesn't seem to be killing my basket here. I have to look at that. And that's about all I can tell. We've got to add a high score evaluation here. We can do a couple of more things. Well, I wanted this to be our last one, but I think I'm just going to have to stop here for a moment and be back soon. Keep working on it, and I will be back to finish it up. Thanks.